From diaspora hybrids to global underground club sounds, the influence of Latin music on electronic club culture is not a recent phenomenon. Long before today's wave of Latin club experiments, producers and DJs across the Americas were already blending electronic production with Caribbean and Latin rhythms. So let's have a brief look together into a part of the rise of Latin club sounds. Rather than developing a single genre, this evolution unfolded across multiple regions, scenes and decades. From diaspora communities in New York to street parties in Rio de Janeiro and youth raves in Caracas, Latin rhythms have repeatedly reshaped how electronic dance music functions on the dance floor. What connects these movements is not a fixed sound, but a shared rhythmic approach, the ability to merge local musical traditions with emerging electronic production tools. One of the earliest intersections between Latin music and electronic club culture appeared in the late 1980s in New York. Within the Dominican diaspora, musicians began experimenting with drum machines and samplers while maintaining Caribbean rhythmic traditions. The result was Meringue House, a hybrid of Dominican merengue and club music. The sound fused merengue with Chicago house, Latin freestyle, hip-hop, R&B and dancehall, combining Spanish-language vocals with electronic music production. Artists such as Liza M experimented with rapping over merengue rhythms, while Proyecto Uno consolidated the sound with their 1991 album Todo el Mundo. The connection to club culture was direct. Producer Pavel de Jesus worked on Proyecto Uno's early recordings and had previously collaborated with house pioneers like Frankie Knuckles and David Morales in the New York club scene. Through groups like Sandy and Papo, Fudinato and Oro Solido, the sound spread across Latin communities throughout the United States, the Caribbean and Latin America. Meringue House represents one of the earliest moments where Latin rhythms and electronic club production fully merged. Around the same time, another rhythmic development began reshaping Latin dance music, dembow. Derived from Jamaican dancehall rhythms, dembow spread through Panama and Puerto Rico in the early 1990s and eventually became the rhythmic backbone of early reggaeton. Unlike Latin house in New York, reggaeton grew through underground circulation networks. The music spread through cassette tapes, pirate radio and DJ compilations rather than traditional music industry channels. Clubs such as The Noise and San Juan became key gathering points where DJs, MCs and producers refined the sound. Authorities frequently attempted to suppress the scene, associating it with youth and street culture. But these pressures only strengthened its underground identity. What made dembow especially powerful was its adaptability, a rhythmic structure flexible enough to merge with many different electronic styles. While reggaeton developed in the Caribbean, Brazil was building its own powerful club movement, Baile Funk. Emerging in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro, the music grew out of the local sound system parties known as bailes. Baile Funk combined Miami bass, electro, hip-hop and Afro-Brazilian percussion traditions. At the center of the genre lies the tambazo rhythm, a heavy syncopated drum pattern that drives the music with intense energy. Like reggaeton, Baile Funk developed as a local youth culture with its own dances, slang and party infrastructure. Over time, the sound began influencing global club music, with producers around the world incorporating funk rhythms into techno, bass music and experimental club tracks. Another important chapter emerged in the barrios of Caracas, Venezuela. Known as Raptor House or Changatuki, the genre developed in the late 1990s and early 2000s around youth rave events known as mantines. The sound was pioneered by DJ Barbatre, who fused European techno, tribal house and rave influences with Afro-Venezuelan rhythm structures. The result was a fast, aggressive club style defined by tribal percussion, rave synths and high-tempo beats. Raptor House quickly evolved into a distinct youth culture. fans of the scene became known as Tupis, developing their own dance styles, fashion and party circuits. Like many Latin club movements, this music circulated through burned CDs in local DJ networks long before streaming platforms existed. During the 2010s, Colombia developed another influential Latin club genre, electronic guaracha. Originating mainly in Bogotá and Medellín, the sound combines Latin rhythmic structures with rave-oriented electronic production. Typical tracks feature fast tempos around 140 to 150 BPM, heavy kick drums, bright synth melodies and Latin percussion patterns. By the 2010s, a new generation of artists pushed these hybrid ideas even further. One example was tribal guarachero, a Mexican microgenre that transformed folk percussion and traditional instruments into fast, club-ready electronic music. At the same time, collectives became central to shaping Latin club culture. In Mexico City, the collective Nafi developed a powerful underground infrastructure, releasing mixtapes that blended reggaeton edits, rap samples, and aggressive club production. This bootleg-driven approach reflected a new distribution model of the internet era, where curation itself became a form of scene building. Within the Latin diaspora, producers also began exploring more atmospheric interpretations of these rhythms. New York-based artists such as DJ Python described his music as deep reggaeton, merging dembow rhythms with elements of deep house, ambient textures and atmospheres. Rather than functioning purely as peak-time club music, dembow became a subtle rhythmic foundation capable of supporting slower and more introspective electronic compositions. By the 2020s, Latin-influenced club music had become a fully global phenomenon. Labels such as Cha-Cha Tracks helped crystallize a new underground movement where Latin rhythmic frameworks merged with techno, UK bass, breakbeat and experimental electronic music. Artists within this ecosystem often collaborate across multiple cities simultaneously. Tracks such as Nick Leon's Ecstasis were produced between Miami, Caracas, New York and London, illustrating how contemporary club music operates through transnational networks. At the same time, producers in Brazil have pushed Baile Funk into increasingly aggressive territory, with artists like DJ K or DJ Luquinas exploring distorted high-energy styles. Looking across this history, one thing becomes clear. Latin influence in electronic music has never been confined to a single genre. From the diaspora experiments of Latin house in New York to underground reggaeton networks built around dembow to regional movements like Baile Funk, Raptor House and guaracha, Latin rhythms have repeatedly reshaped the language of club music. One reason these sounds travel so effectively lies in their structure. Many of these patterns function like portable rhythm cells, compact frameworks that can be adapted to new tempos, sound palettes and genre contexts. Music scholar Wayne Marshall highlights this in the relation to dembow, the rhythmic backbone of reggaeton. Often described as a 3-3-2 accent structure, the pattern is simple but highly flexible. Because of this, producers can adapt dembow within completely different music environments. Techno sound design, jungle pressure, ambient textures or bass music aesthetics can all run through the same rhythmic framework while the groove remains instantly recognizable. In practice, many underground producers treat dembow almost like a carrier signal, a rhythmic infrastructure capable of supporting entirely different sonic worlds. In that sense, Latin club music is less a specific genre than a transferable rhythmic technology, one that continues to be reprogrammed by scenes around the world.